see if he's got the right stuff. Andrew was unable to get the job done versus the Mono Green Tron Menace. Let's see if Garrett Allen can put that stupid Tron player in space. Well, he's not stupid. I don't like Tron,
though. Do we know what the other top 4 matches?
Oh, yeah, that's mine, so you can leave it somewhere. That'll work. Thank you.
I'm not sure what the other top 4 matches. If we go off the assumption that Garrett played Bryant Cook, that means I believe Bryant Cook got eliminated.
I think
from top 8 contention.
It seems like it, I guess. Do you want me to just quickly look and see if I can figure, or do we know?
No, I think we can get the information from that quick.
All right, cool.
Really new format with some traction is Pauper. Pauper's pretty good. Frontier, I had high hopes for Frontier because it kind of felt like it was going to be like a modern light format.
Yeah, it was like a
Okay.
Oh, wait, so then Brian must have gotten paired against somebody else then.
Yeah, so we don't have the final standings in front of us. So Bryant Cook playing Storm is up a game versus Black Red Hollow 1. So it seems both of our control decks got knocked out. Mm-hmm. And we have here Tron versus Affinity again.
All right.
I expect to see much better things out of Garrett as the Affinity player in this situation.
You said that he's well versed. He's definitely
very well versed.
Yeah.
He's a very good Magic player. I've played against him a few times. Always very good. You know, knows his lines very well.
All right, it looks like Alexandre's got 2 Tron lands at least. He's got what looks like a star. They're just tapping the table.
Garrett. Yeah, Alexandre's mimicking Garrett because Garrett had definitely used a few too many of his clicks on table.
Does he normally do that where he's tapping the table a lot?
Yeah, very, very frequently to figure things out.
Okay. He's just mirroring him.
Absolutely mimicking him at this point.
No, I like it. I like that. I think that, players have, a lot of, their own personal tendencies. But I do like it when players are kind of able to bring some humor to what can otherwise be.
Affinity is one of those decks that's very, he needs like specific numbers on specific things. How possible is it for me to draw one of my 3 big spells?
Right.
How, what probability is it that I am going to draw another land, an Opal, Springleaf Drum?
Yep. Oh, and Sylvan Scrying coming out to get that tower. And I believe that he drew Karn off of his star, so we're probably going to see that pop out on turn 3. Just as God intended when he made Tron.
Urza. Intended.
Just as Urza intended. Right. Yeah, sorry, I've got it wrong. My bad. My apologies. Urza, why'd you do this to us? You could have just made like lands that tapped for only 2 mana. You had to make the tower tap for 3. Come on, man.
I get it, right? You want to make sources of energy. I'm all about that.
Right,
I think that's great.
But why does the tower tap for 3? Couldn't it just
Why
tap
doesn't
for 2?
the power plant tap for 3?
Why
does the tower generate more power than a power plant?
I mean, that's true. That is a good point. However, did you consider the fact that they could all just tap for 2? They would all just be the same.
They could. There should be way less cards in the world, and the world would be a better place with less cards.
It would be. Honestly, that's the one thing that kind of gets me down sometimes when I watch Tron. It's just Karn's just so backbreaking that early. Oh wow, this is a nice turn here. He's kind of going off. Doesn't have any other follow-ups though.
Still only coming across for 1 lifelinking, which is great. Mm-hmm. Not super relevant in this matchup because the Tron deck is going to win pretty much in a single turn or 2.
Right. It looks like so. Alexandre gets to follow us up with the tower, and then likely playing Karn. Now the question is, if he plays Karn, what does he do with it? Does he go upstairs? Does he take out a Vault Skirt? But that's not great. I mean, you could take out a Signal Pest. That's also not great either.
I think it depends on how many cards Garrett has in hand. If Garrett only has 1 card, which I think he does, I think we go up with the Karn and get rid of that card. Because nothing on the field currently is a quote-unquote payoff card.
Right.
Everything's a single power creature. You get a couple of buffs out of the Signal Pests. You're coming across for, 3 to 5 damage, it looks like.
Well, let's see. So if he pluses to 10, then Garrett can attack back for 8. So it actually would basically neutral. Okay, that's actually quite strong.
Yeah, like I said, Garrett deployed everything he could in a single turn to prepare for the biggest cranial plating. So if Alexandre makes the misplay of going after one of the creatures, we have the plating, a bunch of artifacts. You only got rid of one threat, and we can get rid of the Karn.
It looks like he can activate. If I had to guess, I'm assuming that he. Well, so he can either do one of two things. He could either basically send all the stuff at Karn to keep it from activating the minus. Because at this point, obviously, the plus is not really doing anything.
Yep, no cards in hand.
Garrett is hellbent. So if he puts down Karn down to 2, Karn can only plus the next turn with the 6, and then is basically taken down by the flying force. If he avoids Karn and just goes straight for Alexandre, he gets to put him to 11, and then he has 11 on board, but obviously Karn's going to minus probably on a Signal Pest.
He'd have a little more than 11. He'd had 14 on board with the second Vault Scourge.
You sure? Well, it's 2.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right. Oh,
Yeah, because double Battle Cry.
actually, wait. Am I wrong here? Is this just 10?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Oh, wait, no.
6, 7, 8.
The signal pests only make each other a 1/2
Yeah.
or
Right,
a 1/1.
the second Vault Scourge would add 3 more power to the following turn.
Right,
with
so it's
14
8 and
damage.
then. Well,
Or, yeah,
it's
9 and
8,
11.
8 to 11. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So I guess it's lethal in 2 turns,
but
barring nothing else happening.
Right, but
So that's what Garrett went for. 8 to the face.
I
I have
guess,
lethal on board. You have to do something.
I mean,
And Ugin can't sweep stuff up. He'd have to play a
That's true.
second Karn in order to be able to try to remove more than one permanent.
I just dislike the fact that. So obviously, like Karn here isn't like super great, but it can get rid of Signal Pest, and then if Alexandre has another card in his hand that can get rid of the other Signal Pest, 3 damage a turn is just a pretty meager output.
Yep.
And I think that like it sucks a little bit because you have to rely on Alexandre not having to follow up, but I think that letting Karn just be able to naturally take out a Signal Pest is not. I don't know. It's a little tough.
Yeah, the Signal Pest does represent the most amount of power at the moment. I still think Garrett's line is really strong because if he draws an Arcbound Ravager, he still has a lot of power on board. If he draws a Cranial Plating, I believe it's still just lethal.
Yeah, if he draws Cradle Plating and plays it, let's see. So it's 1, 2,
Alright, so
3,
it goes
4,
quarter.
5. No, wait, can you activate that and then do that? No. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
I feel like I can count up to 10, but I don't know. We'll see what he draws.
I can count up to 20 playing Lightning Bolts. Well, 18, I guess.
If only it was that easy. Oh, let's see.
So I think this was a payoff card, like a Cranial Plating. It would just be on the table already. Probably something along the lines of a Meb Knight or an Ornithopter.
Did Alexandre not shuffle enough? Maybe he has to shuffle more.
I'm not sure. Maybe something was like accidentally flipped over.
That's possible. I mean, at this REL, it's also possible that if you didn't randomize enough, the judge could say you need to randomize your deck sufficiently, and that many riffles on a cut is not appropriate.
Yeah.
But hard to say. Because we can't really hear what they're saying at the table, so we just have to assume based on their motions what they're doing.
Alexander got a Ghost Quarter off of the Sylvan Scrying, so the Blink Moth Nexus is not very long for this world.
No. Although it will get to it hit in this turn. Now Garrett's got to consider his options here. You can only attack for
Might be an
6.
Arcbound Ravager. The way he's looking at counting the stuff,
That's true.
but I still think Arcbound Ravager is probably a few points short. 3, 4, 5.
It wouldn't be able to kill him, but it would allow
That's not enough.
Garrett to hit the Karn and take it off the field if he wants to do that.
Yeah.
It's weird because like if he attacks, let's see. So if he plays Ravager, animates, attacks, he can attack in for 4, put Alexandre to 7, and then he has a way to be able to mitigate Karn slightly.
You can attack for 6 with the Blink Moth.
Right. He can either attack for 6 this turn with Blink Moth, but then if he's drew 2, then he's not able to cast it.
It was a insufficient shuffle warning.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, there we go. So it's another Nexus. Interesting. so you can animate that.
Ooh, come across for another point of damage. That's all right.
Yes.
Yeah, you activate the second ability in the Blink Moth, giving a target Blink Moth creature +1/+1.
So he can actually take out the card right now. I wonder
Sub
if he's...
removal spell?
Oh, it's a
What,
dismember.
dismember?
Oh, wow. That's actually a nice one here because it keeps Alexandre from losing his Karn, and he's still at about the same life total. The Signal Pest represented 3. I mean, he's basically taking 1 more damage, but his Karn remains in play, which is really important.
I don't even think Garrett went after the Karn whatsoever.
Nope. Looks
He
like
just put his opponent to 3. Karn's not going to be able to deal with... There's 3 separate threats on the floor.
Yep.
Or there's 4 threats on the floor.
Right.
So he needs something else to be able to deal with it. Looks like he's just going to go filtering through his deck. Hopefully try to get an O-Stone. Well, I guess he's got the Ghost Quarter, so he can... He's only going to go to 2. Because if he Ghost Quarters one of the Blink Moths, Karn's one of the Vault Scourges, then it's just 2 points of damage.
That's what it looks like. I guess he's just trying to see what he can hit.
Yeah, he's probably
First.
looking for an O-Stone, because if you can find an O-Stone, that's just going to be able to make it so Karn can hit the land, O-Stone can hit both Vault Scourges, and then there's just 1 land left.
Yep. Yeah, that's probably what he's going to do here is, exactly as you said. It does have an Ugin as a potential follow-up to maybe clear out the Vault Scourges if Garrett bricks on his next turn and doesn't hit something that pumps him up. I wonder.
Yeah, Ugin's okay, but at this point we need to hit the Ghost Quarter on one of the Blink Moths. Karn away one of the Vault Scourges.
Here's a question: does Garrett have Master of Ethereum in his deck? He does. He's got 4 copies, so that's also something that can just win the game right now.
Yep.
Another payoff that will be sufficient. Yep. So Morissette goes with the play that you lined out, basically keeping the Blink Moth Nexuses in check, assuming to go down to 1 life. I guess is he gonna? He might actually Ghost Quarter the Blink Moth Nexus during the draw step just to. I guess it doesn't really matter. I guess he's at the same amount of mana.
Yeah, I think Garrett's drawn his card. He's looked at it.
Right, but he could be in his draw step and Ghost Quarter it. I think it's better to just wait because you force action where Garrett might be incentivized to activate the Nexus and attack with all the creatures to get the Ghost Quarter off and then play another man land.
Yeah.
But we'll see what it is. It's got
2 mana.
Is this a
Steel Overseer?
Okay. All right, so
It's not a payoff card that's going to win the game right now, but a payoff card nonetheless. Right.
So
It's going to allow us to untap.
right, he gets to animate the Nexus. I think this is better just to make sure that you get the Ghost Quarter off the field so that a subsequent man land could potentially win you the game. Yep, so he's going to activate. Going to get Ghost Quarter in response. Get what? Let's see. What basic is he playing? An island? Yep. 1 revised island coming right up. Or is that a revised or unlimited? One of the 2.
Yeah, he's going to be able to come across for 2, and again, multiple threats, only one of which needs to be lethal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. It's funny that Steel Overseer could actually finish off this game just because he puts... Really? Oh, this is interesting. I guess he
Now Karn can't hit anything.
Yeah. I guess it's kind of the same either way, where if you hit Alexandre down to 1, he has to minus the card on a creature, have another card that deals with another creature, and then the Steel Overseer would be lethal. In this way, he drew Oblivion Stone. He just shows it. He just miracles Oblivion Stone off the top. Good old Tron. Right.
Put Karn to 2. Karn's unable to touch anything on the battlefield.
Yep.
I did all this work the turn prior to find the O-Stone, and then we just draw it naturally this
Oh
turn.
my lord, dude. I mean, at this point, oh come on, you gotta plus the card for value. Oh, all right. Garrett's like, is that what I think it is? Oh, come on, man. That's wild. Jesus. All right, well, okay. Yep. And,
Yeah, Garrett knows that his permanents are not long for this world.
Nope. Okay, all right, okay.
I mean,
Got
it's
some
a threat.
but unfortunately,
I think he's got an Ugin in his
Ugin's
hand.
gonna pull us and destroy it. Oh, good old Tron. Good old Tron. It's all right though. Easiest miracle. Yep, and just go upstairs, deal some damage, and then all he needs to do is just plus it again, and then ultimate it, and then that'll pretty much lock this game up. I don't really think that Affinity's coming back after that. He's gonna even Sylvan's Grind too.
Yeah.
Wait, is he actually? Wasn't he supposed to Sylvan's Grind first to get Sanctum of Ugin, and then play Sanctum, play the Ugin, trigger Sanctum of Ugin, probably get Walking Ballista?
I don't know if Sanctum
Or
triggers off
actually,
Ugin.
Ugin should trigger it, right? Isn't
I think it's creature.
No, it's a spell. Whatever you
Yeah,
guys call a
call it a
spell.
spell.
Right. Yeah. Ugin can trigger Sanctum of Ugin, and then you get. Oh, I guess in this spot here, you have enough mana. You can probably just get Ulabog and just exile lands.
Yeah. The Inkmoth Nexus not being very effective here.
No.
Just pseudo gained Alexander 10 life.
Yeah. Oh god, this is a card. Oh, look at that. Nope. Yep. All right.
I'm very surprised Garrett's still playing this match.
Yeah, I mean, just playing it out to the bitter end. I can respect that. I know a lot of players that just, regardless of how good or bad things look, they will always play it out till lethal damage has been dealt, or I win the game trigger has been put on the stack.
Yep.
Yep. Just gonna play to his outs, which are somehow Alexandre doesn't activate his planeswalkers. That's it. Oh my lord.
And we go for an Ugin Ultimate.
Oh yeah.
Minus 11. Draw 7 cards, gain 7 life, put 7 permanents from your hand onto the battlefield.
Yeah, this is yep. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And let's see what permanents I got. Oh, there's a new Mog. Oh, okay. Oh, there's a World Breaker. Okay. There's Wormcoil Engine. All right. There's no trouble.
He does have the masterpiece Wormcoil Engines.
Yeah. The funny thing is too, you're not really supposed to put in Ulamog off of this. You're supposed to hold in your hand and then cast it. But
Yeah, especially with the fact that we just played multiple Urza's lands.
Oh, Walking Ballista forgot us. Jesus.
Yes. I think that may have just been a lethal Walking Ballista.
Yes. Okay. Garrett's finally willing to concede to. How much mana worth of permanence was that? Like 30? Maybe 40?
Yeah, it was 10, 7.
So that's 17, 23 plus another 20. So it's over 40 mana's worth in a turn.
Yeah. That was
Yeah, rip me. Oh man. Oh boy. All right. Well, yeah, Tron did its Tron things.
Tron did well beyond Tron things.
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, I wonder
I think
if
Tron did enough for everyone in the room still.
so. There is one card in Garrett's sideboard that's going to be really good that Andrew did not have access to, and that is Damping Sphere. So we saw it earlier when Josh played against Tron in the Swiss.
Yep.
But Damping Sphere, if the Tron player doesn't get rid of it, their plays are way slower than average. You can, especially if Affinity can cast it, it can easily fit it into its curve on turns 2 or 3, and it'll just slow down the Tron deck if the Tron deck doesn't have something like a Nature's Claim to get rid of it on the spot.
The Affinity deck's playing 2 Galvanic Blasts, to our knowledge, currently.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Yeah, it looks like he's basically a bunch of 4-ofs, only a few Memnites, 1 main deck Welding Jar, 2 Karn, Sign of Urza, which I've seen most Affinity decks play 2 Karn in their main deck most of the time.
Yeah, that seems to be what everyone's concession has been, is cutting 2 of the Galv Blasts for 2 Karns.
Right.
Trying to play a little bit more of a grindy game while still having very aggressive draws.
Right, and the card is just, it's easy to cast, completely colorless. It's not like Tezzeret, Agent of Bolus, where it's kind of hard to cast it in some spots.
Yeah.
It's very easy to cast. All the modes are good. Sometimes you just need extra cards. It finds them very quickly. Sometimes you just need extra threats that are very powerful. It makes constructs that are... Oh, come on, Alexandre. It's fine. You've been on camera twice. You're just keep staying on
Back to
camera
back
until
even.
you lose.
That's how it's going to end up being.
Yep, pretty much.
If you don't want to be on camera, you just need to concede to Garrett now.
You certainly could do that. I mean, if Alexandre really wanted to get off the camera, that's what he'd do. Let's see here. So, yeah, the Damping Sphere is going to be very powerful here. Alexandre's only got the 2 copies of Nature's Claim. So, if Garrett can have a hand with Damping Sphere and Alexandre doesn't have a claim, I think that Garrett just smushes him way before anything of relevance comes into the battlefield. It's also got, a couple copies of Ancient Grudge, which can tag some of the early artifacts or something like an Oblivion Stone before it can get activated. That's pretty much it. I don't really think that Garrett's going to bring in anything else that's in the sideboard.
Yeah, the Nature's Claim is really important from Alexandre. Even though we have other spot removal spells, the Nature's Claim takes care of everything always.
Right. Yeah, and it's specifically the one thing that can actually answer Damping Sphere on a timely time frame. Otherwise, he's not going to cast his spells nearly fast enough.
Yep. I do see a Warping Whale in hand for Alexandre. Looks like
Yep.
he's going to mulligan. He's going to 6. That means we win.
I mean, if
He's
everything...
going to have Natural Tron on turn 3.
Yep. If things hold true to what they have in the previous games, a mull to 6 is a win for Tron. This is how it's been going.
Only for Alexandre. He's the only one who made it with
Oh
Tron.
yeah. Well, I mean, he was the 1 seed for a reason. He knows
is
the deck.
true.
He knows the deck in and out. He knows exactly how to Miracle Oblivion Stone at just the right time. He also knows how to, top deck the Tron pieces he needs right as he needs them.
Every single time.
Yep. He's got the heart of the cards guiding him. All right. Yeah, this is a much more keepable hand. He's got a Tron piece, a sphere, and a scrying. So if he can find another Tron piece, then he would be able to play scrying on turn 2 to be able to get Tron on turn 3. Although, looks like he kept a Warping Whale on top. I don't know if he has another land.
We gotta have another land if we're keeping... Oh, it's an Ancient Stirrings.
Well, he just drew Ancient Stirrings per turn. So I'm curious as to why he kept the Warping Whale on the top when it looks like his hand doesn't actually have another... I mean, he just drew the tower for the turn. Of
course he did.
But
Again, we're gonna have Natural Tron. He's gonna Ancient Stir... Oh, wait, it's the same Tron land.
right, so he drew.
Ooh.
Yeah, he drew the tower off of the sphere, and he Warping Whale the Steel Overseer before it could start going off.
Interesting.
Yeah, I assume that.
That's an O-Stone in hand for Alexandre,
Yeah,
too.
but
So we have
I
good
don't-
payoff cards.
I don't know if Alexandre has another. Excuse me. I don't know if he has another way to produce green mana though. Like I don't think he has another sphere or another star in his hand. Yeah, he just passes. Like he used his Warping Whale to get rid of the Steel Overseer, which is fine, but he also had to basically use the sphere, which is his only source of green mana right now, and now he's, getting attacked for a pretty big chunk here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for 7.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a good spot for Alexandre to be in. He's gonna need something. Is he trying to miracle Terminus after adding white mana? Yeah, Hobbs. Yeah,
Just Drago.
yeah, looks like
Drago Tron.
sure what it looks like. I guess Garrett's doing his tapping math real quick. I mean, he could just activate 2 Nexi. 1, 2, 3, 4.
I think that's get what Garrett's problem was game 1. He had a really great start, but he stopped the tapping after the start.
Yeah, you gotta keep
He
doing
wasn't doing enough math in the middle
it. Right, yeah.
of the day.
No, that's a good point. Well, let's see what he decides to do. I mean, he's got a couple cards in his hand too, so he could very easily have another payoff in his hand, like Cranial Plating, for example. Is
that a lethal attack?
well, let's see. So
It was 7 because of the 2 buffs.
So, animate the Ink Moth. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 artifacts in play. So the Ornithopter's a 5/2. So
Not
it's
enough. We didn't have enough
6
mana to
and
be able
then
to
2. So
animate enough land.
yeah, so it looks like he's attacking for 8, putting Alexandre to 5, and Alexandre's seen enough, scooping him up.
Yep, put him to 5.
Excuse me. Well, we get to go to again.
3.
Yeah, again going to game 3. It's interesting too because Affinity normally would win some of these games. I guess Alexandre has drawn some pretty nice cards in some of these game wins that he's got against Affinity. So
Yeah, very, very clutch draws on
Right.
Moles to 6.
yeah. Oh man, but he lost on that Mold to 6 though. What if that
It's
ruins our
because
theory?
the Tron land that we drew was not a different one.
That's a good
If
point.
it was a different one, then the luck keeps going. We draw the 3rd Tron land and we just win the game.
Yeah, that's a good point. I forgot about that. I guess Garrett maybe is doing a little bit more sideboarding. I wonder what he's considering. I feel like if I'm in Garrett's spot, it's possible that he might be taking out some copies of Grudge on the draw.
Yeah.
It's much better on the play when you can tag Expedition Map. Or a Chromatic Sphere, but it gets way worse on the draw where they can just activate those cards before you have access to Ancient Grudge. But I think that, excuse me, looks like Alexandre's configuration is just set in stone. I mean, he probably sideboarded the same way he did against Andrew earlier. Not going to change anything. I think a lot of choices in games. Yeah, that's true. I wonder. I guess Alexandre must have already shuffled up and just is kind of just waiting here.
Yeah, Garrett had to make sideboard changes, so Alexandre was pretty much
Right.
ready to just shuffle and present
Yep.
while Garrett was still making changes.
Yeah, that's fair. Oh Lord, that's funny.
I'm going to check on the other match that we have going right now. It is Bryant Cook versus Michael Egoff. Bryant was up a game playing Brew Red Storm, and Michael was down playing
Hollow one.
Black Red Hollow one.
Right. Yeah. Drinkard MTGO. Alexandre is not playing any copies of Broken Bond. That would be kind of sweet, actually. Now that I think
Very.
about it, that would be pretty cool. It is kind of. It's not the great. It sucks that, as a card, it's a sorcery. Nature Claim being an instance like super important in matchups like this, I think.
Yeah, Broken Bond's not going to be as effective as you need it to be, because you really need to be able to hit cranial platings
Right.
before they hit you.
Yeah, or something, being able to cast it and then untap and cast the spell, kind of important. You need to be able to have it on your opponent's turn.
Yes, we got confirmation that Bryant Cook beat Black Red Hollow one.
All right, so
So
Bryant,
Blue Red Gift Storm in the finals.
Bryant is in the finals with trusty Storm cards deck. Storm in all formats where that mechanic is legal.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's a very, very strong mechanic.
it is rather powerful.
And the deck's good enough to let me do stuff with it, so I'm all right with that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, looks like Alexandre gets to keep his 7. Garrett has to take a mulligan.
Yeah, the Affinity deck's really good at mulliganing.
Oh yeah.
You can take 4 cards and still win games very easily.
Oh yeah, yeah. D'Anthrax, unfortunately, Egolf lost in the semifinals. I mean, he had a really good run. Egolf was undefeated in the Swiss and was our 2nd seed going into the top 8. But Brian Cook is hard to stop.
Yeah, if you go back through the videos, there was a very, very insane moment on camera where he played a Burning Inquiry, discarded a Flamewake Phoenix and a Bloodghast and a Hollow one, and then was able to play 2 more Hollow ones for free and then get back his Bloodghast and Flamewake Phoenix when his opponent was at 10 life. So all of his creatures had haste, pretty much.
Drinkard. So, honestly, I feel like both these decks are actually pretty unfavored versus Storm.
I feel like Affinity can win because their draws can be enough pressure where Tron really can.
Yeah, I think that it requires some good luck from either Affinity or Tron to beat Storm, but I think that Storm is favored against either matchup, honestly.
Yep. Garrett's still deliberating over Scry. It looks like he's going to keep 6.
Yep. So
Scry to the top, it looks
on
like.
top it goes. So what's the turn 1 play here? Turn 1 star? Turn 1 star that is. Certainly not a bad start. Off of a power plant. Alright.
So we're going to set up for a more explosive turn 2, looks like, for Garrett.
Yeah. Add some green mana maybe?
Add green mana, Ancient Stirrings. Look at the top 5. Get any one colorless card from among them, put it in your hand.
Yeah.
Lands count. Luckily, they are also colorless, and that is their second piece of Tron if he elects to take it.
I mean, considering that he's casting Stirrings first and not playing land into Scrying, almost certainly taking the other Tron piece here.
Yeah.
I think it's another. Does he? Oh, maybe he doesn't have Sphere. Okay, I might have misunderstood what was in his hand. I know that he at least has an Oblivion Stone and a Spatial Contortion, and the rest of his hand is a little hard to make out.
Yeah,
Apparently
both of those
Storm,
guys
so it's
being
not too bad.
very, very good against this deck.
Right. Okay. Alright, fair enough. Alright.
Alright, so I think we lose the matchup. Every time we've drawn a redundant Tron piece when we don't have Tron,
Yeah, that's true.
we've lost the game. So I think this is a sign that the world is over for Tron. Luckily, however, Garrett did have a pretty explosive turn, but it wasn't as good, I think, as he needed.
Yeah,
I think we needed another creature. We needed a 0-drop for our Steel Overseer.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, so Alexandre gets to probably contortion the Steel Overseer.
Yep.
Makes sense. And then Garrett's board is pretty anemic, honestly. I mean,
Yeah, again, like I said, he needed a 0-drop creature to make the board state much more in his favor. Exponential power.
Something that's
increases
actually
very
interesting
high.
here. I guess if he drew, I guess it didn't matter because at first I didn't realize that he had 2 towers. But one thing that could be interesting is that if he drew the other Tron piece that he was missing, he would have possibly wanted to play the Wool Breaker in his hand, and if he played the Forest last turn instead of the other tower, then he'd be able to have access to Wool Breaker on the next turn. But instead, he does actually have an Ulamog in his hand, so that would actually allow him to, if he rips mine off the top, he would actually be
Just
able
play
to
the Ulamog, yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
that would suffice.
Alexander back on his mimicking shenanigans.
Yeah.
It's like Alexander has a Karn in hand as well. I see a Planeswalker of some form.
Yep.
I'm assuming it's Karn, so I'm fairly certain he takes out Ugin in this matchup.
Yeah, no, he has to. Ugin, I mean, it is interesting. There are actually some things that it can exile. It can exile Vault Scourge and it can exile Master Ethereum, but like,
Yeah.
just in general as a threat, this is not the matchup where you want Ugin.
No.
But I think you're right that he has a Karn, an Ulamog, and Oblivion Stone. So at the very least, he does have access to be able to next turn play Oblivion Stone with 4 lands. And then if he can untap and have a 5th land, he can keep some of the non-land permanents off of Garrett's side of the board. Interestingly, though, the man lands are actually quite good versus Oblivion Stone, because O-Stone can't touch them. They're still lands even when they're creatures, which is pretty nice. Let's see.
Again, we just need something more to bring power to the board. Cranial Plating, Steel Overseer, Arcbound Ravager.
Yeah, one of those payoffs would be pretty nice here. Let's see what he has. Mercury. This is never getting there. Let's see. What's the follow-up here? Okay, that's what we wanted.
Yep. It's still another permanent that will go down to the Oblivion Stone, but it is one that still does very good things. Now, this is much better in the face of the Oblivion Stone because Alexander doesn't have the mana currently to be able to cast and activate.
Oh. I thought for a second it was
Another
the
tower.
mine. I thought for a second that he just miracled it again.
That would be ridiculous because, again, he would be at 10 mana and be able to play and activate the O-Stone.
Yeah, it'd be pretty backbreaking, I think. Let's see. So in this spot, I'm assuming that. Let's see. So if he plays the O-Stone, and passes, then Garrett can equip the cranial plating. Can he actually kill into with Inkmoth Nexus? I think he can, right? Yeah, because he'll basically have the Inkmoth Nexus battle cry, put the counters on the Inkmoth Nexus, and then that will hit for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then be dead the next turn.
Through the O-Stone, there's still...
Well, right, because the O-Stone can't touch the Inkmoth Nexus.
Yeah.
So basically, he can, like in this spot here, Garrett can put Alexandre dead on 2 with Inkmoth Nexus if he wants to, and he's very likely, in my opinion, he's likely to. But he might be worried about the potential of like a Ghost Quarter. Although I think the other thing too, giving the Inkmoth Nexus a bunch of counters right now actually plays around things like another spatial contortion, potential like a
warping whale.
Yeah, warping whale, like or whatever. Just it turns off some of Alexandre's outs. It looks like he's doing the math in his head right now, probably. Like actually just saying it out loud right now. Yeah, looks like he's counting up all the artifacts he has in play. So if he wants to play around,
I think he wants to play around the O-Stone because he knows it's there.
Yeah, so he can equip with cranial plating, and that will allow him to deal. Let's see. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He can activate an Inkmoth Nexus or Blinkmoth Nexus, sorry, for 6, and then the battle cry will make it 7. It's basically the same as dead in 2. This is one of those spots too where like you don't necessarily want to do too much with your mana. If you can have him dead on 2, you just put the permanents on the Inkmoth Nexus to have him dead in 2.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily need to like overextend how many permanents are on the Inkmoth Nexus, as long as 2 hits will kill your opponent.
Yeah, I think he's just mulling over how much he wants to go in on the infect versus trying to do traditional damage.
Right, yeah. Oh, this is interesting. Wait, does this change the math at all? Let's see. So, animate Nexus. Equip.
Attack battle cry trigger.
I think that he missed a point here. Oh no, he didn't miss a point. It's the same. I guess it's actually no. This is better. You're right, because he can activate both next eye. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think this is lethal, right? There's 8 artifacts in play.
Yeah, I think it is as well.
Battle cry plus the 1. Yeah, there you go. All right. There you go.
Very well done by Garrett.
Nice, nicely done, Garrett. That was, I mean, obviously we didn't know the Mox Opal was in his hand, but all the math checked out. He just had to basically run the numbers real quick, make sure that everything added up to lethal, and he had it. Nice.
Yeah,